I think that's like a legit sounding track, just creatively utilizing free samples. What a time to be alive. How's it going, everybody? My name is Will from Ghosthack, and as you probably know, it is the holiday season. It's been for a while. If you haven't realized that by now, then you probably never will. I'm not going to help you. But as some of you also probably know, Ghosthack has an advent calendar going on. We do this every year, right? If you stick around with us, you will see this advent calendar every year. And each day during advent, we release a new freebie. It's completely free. There's no charge to it. It'll be like a pack of different sounds. Maybe it'll be like a tutorial of some kind. Maybe it'll be plugin presets, stuff like that. It's little gifts. Now here is the advent calendar on the Ghosthack website. Today is the 16th, which is why you see the number 16 right here. There are some more gifts yet to be unlocked as the days continue throughout advent, but there's already a lot of free stuff available. Behind each one of these doors is a free package. And just because it's free does not mean that it is low quality. These are good sounds, I promise. Actually, let me show you what I can make using just sounds from some of these free packages. So here we are, Fruit Loop Studio, and you can see I have all of these advent calendar freebies downloaded. You don't have to download all of these if you don't want them. You can see what they are before you download them, of course, but I downloaded all of them just to give me a library to work with. And also keep in mind, these are just the ones that have been released so far. There's still more to come. So we are at 125 BPM right now, and we start this track with a humble kick drum. But of course, we also have to layer it with the claps. That's a lot better. You can see I have kind of a pre-clap and then a thicker clap for the tail. Now, I don't want too much hi-hat action, but I do want a little bit maybe in the second half here. I want the first beat to be pretty much just that. And then after we set up a sidechain channel, of course, just layering in these sidechains with the kick. So anything we add like that needs to be sidechained later, I can run through that channel. And I'm going to be honest, when making this, I really started just making some interesting drums. Like these are some cymbals that I kind of chopped up and pitched around, as well as some reverse claps and things to kind of lead into the snare and the kick. So I didn't really know the pattern. I was just starting out with a rhythm. And the next thing that I decided to do was to scroll through these packages and find the percussions and percussion loops, because there are plenty of them in here, whether it is straight up day 21, the percussion loops folder, or if you go in maybe day 1, the Tech House bundle, they have percussions in here as well. And I was throwing them together with the beat. I added some bits of reverb. Like, it's really cool to mix percussions together like that. It really adds a lot to a beat, especially kind of a 4 to the floor electro house beat like this. Like, there's so much groove to that already. Next up, you'll notice that there is a package, day 2 actually, there's a package completely dedicated to these Braams sounds. Very dark, very cinematic, but I wanted to use these with this beat and kind of chop them up. So it starts out like that. Then a more atmospheric one. Just to have some pitch and some like change in progression. And of course, with this being kind of a house song, I decided to go with a Plucky bass line here. And it follows that up and down pattern that's being played by the brass, right? So that just gives a little bit of rhythm and bass line. The sub was made using one of the free 808s, and the bass itself was made using one of the synth shots, and I just pitched it down. Also, there was a package of guitar hits and loops, so I thought, why not just put a nice guitar strum right there? I pitched it up a lot, actually. It's a little bit lower, it's a little more strummy. I just pitched this one up, and this layers with the brass. Like that, just to give it a little more harmonic texture. And now I had something cool so far that sounds pretty clean. but obviously it's begging for more things on top of it. I didn't know what I want to add. Did I want to add like a bass line, maybe make it a bass house thing? Did I want to add a vocal chop? I wasn't sure, but I saw that there were vocals included in these Advent freebies, so I thought that I would pick out a vocal and see if I can make this work. Now, this was the vocal that I chose. It looks very short, but keep in mind there is actually a lot more to this vocal. It's a much longer vocal than it appears. These are the raw files. They sound like this. I made sure to pitch them into place.
I could rewind. I've been going out my mind. I've been hiding behind
with harmonies.
The person I tried to be, this was all a lie. No, it wasn't right. Now it's gonna lie. I gotta be me.
And that's what I used, and then it went into the drop from there. And with post-processing, I can show you, I just processed them by adding some compression, a little bit of distortion, EQing, and reverb.
I could rewind. I've been going out my mind. I've been hiding behind the person I tried to be.
And adding the compression and the distortion and some nice bright EQing really helped these vocals fit in with the electronic textures of the rest of the track. But after throwing these vocals in, I realized there was so much more I could get out of the different vocal packages in this Advent calendar that I really wanted to get more creative with them, especially in the drop. I thought instead of adding basses and make it bass house, maybe I'll add vocal chops and kind of chop up some of the words and phrases. And after some time of scrolling through some of these words and these phrases and bits of the acapellas that were included, I came up with this little creative vocal chop pattern. As you can tell, they're very processed. You know, a lot of them are pitched around and stretched. You see, these vocals are not just meant to be thrown in there. It's like half the fun is what you can do with them to really make them unique. And they're just such great tools when you do stuff like this. And they fit beautifully with this bass line and everything else. You can actually hear what it sounds like without this post-processing. You can see I have a lot of post-processing on these to make them sound nice and electronic. And now you can really hear the stretching and the pitching and all the different stuff that I did to this. It's so much fun to work with these vocal shots, man. And you get really dope results. Next up, I wanted to add some sound effects. We have like an impact from one of the cinematic free packages. There's like downlifters and uplifters. And then I also have like some little bass shots and laser synth hits. Like that, and there's a little bit of the guitar again. That just kind of works at the end as kind of a fill. So now that we have a pretty cool drop right here, which you will hear in a minute, I kind of wanted to add some stuff in this intro just to make sure that it kind of flows up. I just want to work on really the build up for this bit. So the first thing to do was I went and grabbed one of these Buildup drums. These things are so useful. Even if you want to do your own build-up drums, just throwing one of these in the background in a build-up fills up so much space. I kept these brass hits kind of going throughout this build-up because it works with the vocals and it kind of sets the stage for the progression of the drop. And normally this is not something I would do, but I actually added the bass line with the sub and I have it kind of rising up. The sub slowly gets high passed while the synth kind of gets low passed upward. Like it's deep. Sub dies out, the synth comes up. And then it cuts off for the fill. And lastly, I just threw in some of the sound effects that I had used in the drop. Cinematic impact. Some uplifters, and I also added a little bit of this vocal. Just a little bit of that kind of vibrato vocal to use right there to make sure it doesn't sound too out of place, like it sort of leads into the vocals in the drop. But after running it a little harder through the master, I think this came out pretty good. Have a listen.
I could rewind, I've been going out my mind, I've been hiding behind the person I tried to be, this was all a lie, no it wasn't right, now it's come to life, I gotta be me.
So there we go. I think that's like a legit sounding track, just creatively utilizing free samples. What a time to be alive. Free sound packages from Ghosthack all through Advent. Link to the Advent calendar is in the top of the description. You don't have to purchase anything beforehand. There's no purchase. It's just free to everyone. It's just there for free. Oh my God, I broke my headphones. What happened? Look at that. It's got the crack in the... You can't even see it. Let me get the light. Yeah. What's going on, dude? I will deal with that when I get to it. But in the meantime, enjoy the free samples. We appreciate all of you, and I will see you in the next video. Happy producing.